Hello students, as you know that we have been learning related with your paper 5th Biostatistics from semester 5th. As we have seen, we have learned many more things in the last 3 lectures. This is today is our 4th lecture from this biostatistics. My friends, today we have to get idea about sample and sampling. Sample and sampling, its types, sort of the things are there. Now, when we want to go for sampling, there should be the population, isn't it? So what is population that we have learned? Again, the population is a group that's studied by the researcher. Population is the group that studied by the researcher. I will give you the example. Suppose you want to study some plants from the garden, plants from the college garden. At that time, we'll have to go there. So that is the population. Population is a group of a plant that we want to study or the researcher wants to be studied. So that is the population. Suppose somebody asks you to go at a very domestic example, I will tell to you. Suppose we want to take the length of a pea plant pods. We know that at our places we are having the pea pods that we brings as a vegetable, isn't it? So length you have to measure of the pea pods, whatever we have purchased, half kg or 500 grams, isn't it? 500 grams of that one. So that is the population. Now, from that population, we have to select some item. We have to select some part, and that part is nothing but the sample. So sample is the number of plants in a selected group. Number of plants. Suppose we have visited to the college garden, we want to study of a population, that is of a total plants, and some plants then we have selected. The selected plant is a sample, but the process of selecting the sample is known as a selection. Selecting the sample is known as a sampling. Once again I will tell to you, selection of a sample from the population, this process is known as a sampling. The process of selecting of or collection of a part of population or selecting a part of population is known as a sampling. Now sampling frame the list of individual or plants included in the sample, that is a sampling frame is there. Sampling technique refers to the techniques or the procedure used to select the number of samples. For example, I will tell to you, as we have visited to the garden of our college, many more plants are there. From that plant, we can make the groups of the plant. Like that one, climber are there, isn't it? Runner are there. Trees are there, herbs are there, shrubs are there, isn't it? So, as per our observation, or sometimes it is depend upon the researcher which method is to be applied for the selection of a sample, isn't it? That is depend upon the researcher or the fellow who wants to study that population. So that is depend upon that. So got it? Example I have given to you. And always I would like to say that you will have to get clear the concept of each and every. After this, my friend, what are the stages of selection of sample? What are the stages of selection of sample? Define the target of population. First of all, we have to define the target of population. Selected sample frame we have to use. Plan the procedure for selecting sample unit. Determine the sample size, in the sense, suppose we have to study the 1,000 plants from the garden. At that time we have to determine the sample size. How many we have to select? One from each group. 10 group are there. So 10 plants we have to study thoroughly, write the characteristics also. So size of sample is to be decided first of all. Then select the actual sampling unit. Actual sampling unit. Suppose we have visited to the garden, thousands of plants are there, but we are interested in case of only angiospermic plants or the plants which are produce flowers. Only that actual sampling unit we have to that. Now conduct the field work. Most important thing is that, so first time the fellow will have to visit, after visiting he should have in his mind some skeleton, some framework, and accordingly he will have to go for the selection of a sample and part of population, that is the sample, and process of selection of a part of population is known as a sampling. Now, need and advantages of sampling. What are the needs? क्या वजह है क्यों हम सैम्पलिंग कर रहे हैं? And what are the advantages of sampling? Need is that large population is conveniently covered. Usually when data is unlimited. Data is unlimited. Lower cost, less time consuming, accuracy of results. Accuracy of results. Suppose somebody asks, what is the average height of a plants from plants growing in a garden? Isn't it average height? So 1,000 plants are there. So suppose we have to go and visit to each and every plant, measure the height, or we have to say that the girth, or we have to say the other characteristics, then it would be very tedious, it would be a costly, and output out of that one is not that much. For example, I will tell you again, suppose the average height of the students from Tulsaram Chaturchanda College. So strength of our senior college student is more than 4,000. More than 4,000 is there. Is it possible to go and take the height of each and every candidates of the college? No. Then what we have to do? We have to make some groups. We have to make some units. Make some, also sampling is required. So accuracy of result, less time consuming process is there when we will take the sample out of that one. Again, usually when the data is unlimited. Sampling process we have to use when and when there is a data is unlimited, not that much easy, again lower cost, less time consuming and accuracy. What are the advantages of sampling? Definitely time saving, economical point of view, there is no need to pay the money for the workers or to the researchers, those who have been working with us. Again accuracy and covers the size of population. So these are the advantages of a sampling, and need that also we have studied, concentrate on this point. Now, what are the disadvantages of sampling? Biasness, in the sense, suppose the fellow is a little bit a biased researcher at the time of sampling. So that is a disadvantage. Again, another disadvantage, we require always skilled persons. Suppose skilled persons are not there, and when we are going to collect or measure some height of the plant, or suppose we want to measure the height of the students of the college, so skilled persons required there. Unskilled fellow will not be used. So that is again disadvantage. Selection of a true representative of the sample. That is also, if we are not selecting the true representative, then we will be in the problem. Difficult in finding the sample. Most of times, suppose too small population or too heterogeneous population is there, then it would be a very difficult of selection of a sample. So these are the disadvantages. Biasness, then skilled person required, selection of a true representative sample, difficulty in finding the samples. Whenever we are having the population, that could be the heterogeneous or too much small population, it will be very difficult. I will tell you an example. Suppose we want to study the xerophytic and hydrophytic plants from the garden. We are having the only single water tank, and in that water tank only 10 plants are there. Isn't it? Xerophytic plants, there are, I have to say that 500 xerophytic plants are growing in the garden. Now suppose we want to take a sample from the aquatic plant, hydrophytic plant, 10 are there. How to select the sample? It would be better to measure the take the characteristic of each and every individual aquatic plant. So that is the difficulty in case of sampling whenever the population is too much small. Heterogeneous population. Suppose we are having one of the that garden, all type of plants are there, but population is heterogeneous. Heterogeneous, too much heterogeneous. In the population, suppose there are the only 20 plants are there, and in that 20 plants, climber are there, isn't it? Runner are there, herb are there, shrub are there, tree are there, isn't it? Then heterogeneous population. In such a case, sampling is a very, very difficult. Now, what are the types of sampling? What are the types of sampling? Actually, there are main two types of the sampling. There is a random sampling and non-random sampling. Main two, random, non-random. But further again, random sampling divided into systematic sampling and stratified sampling. Non-random sampling is again further divided into purpose sampling and quota sampling. Purpose sampling and quota. Concentrate on all these things. There are the two main types of the sampling: random sampling, non-random sampling. Again, random sampling is divided into systematic sampling. So stratified and systematic sampling are the two types of the random sampling, while purpose and quota sampling type of the non-random sampling. Thank you very much. With this, in the next lecture we will get idea about non-random sampling, my friends.